You'll never forget your first time. Of course, I'm talking about your first time RV camping. Hey guys, we are Sean and Christy. This is Long Honeymoon, and we have a great topic for you beginners out there today. How to make your first RV trip a success.
Your first trip will really set the tone for, I think, how you feel about RVing.
That's right. No one wants to endure a hellish ordeal their first time out with an RV. That will come later. So in this video, we're going to rattle off 9 tips to ensure that you will be happy campers. And these tips are geared towards those of you who own RVs, but I think many of them are also helpful if you're renting an RV. Well, here we are. First night in our Airstream.
Here we are.
Camp close to home on your first trip. Now, obviously, this is more appropriate for those of you who are owning RVs. Not too many people rent an RV to stay close to home. But on your first trip, it's a good idea to be close to home, maybe even in your driveway if you have that luxury.
Yeah, camping in your driveway can be a great way to sort of familiarize yourself with your RV and sort of learn like what you need, what you don't, what you're really going to use, what you won't, and you can take it out of the RV before you roll away from the house.
You're going to be very surprised at how many times you have to go back and forth between your house and the RV because you're going to discover that you've missed something in the packing process.
Yeah, wear a step counter and take a look at that at the end of the day when you pack an RV, and you'll be surprised at the workout that you get.
And if you can't camp in your driveway and you're camping close to home, we encourage you to choose a scenic location to camp. For example, our first trip with our Airstream, we really took it to a state park, which is pretty close to home.
If you stick close to home, you can drive home if you really forgot something important. And if it's somewhere scenic, you're just going to enjoy it more. It's going to feel like you're really camping. Don't go somewhere where you're just like in a parking lot. Be somewhere in nature.
Along those lines, it's nice if you have full hookups because if you're a new RV camper, you don't fully understand the whole water management situation yet. And pull-through sites are also nice because you won't have to worry about backing up a rig into a site.
Which of course you're going to want to learn how to do, but on that first trip out, maybe you don't want to have to worry about that. You just want to focus on getting into your site, sort of learning how to set things up.
Yeah, there's time to learn to back up your rig later. It's your first trip out. I think you really need to keep it manageable.
If you've never dry camped before, and you go in and you are at a campsite with no sewer hookup, you are going to spend so much of your time on that trip hitching back up and pulling your camper to the dump station because we have been there and we have done that.
Try not to overpack your RV. And this is something that we all struggle with even to this day, but I think you will have a more pleasant experience if you pack the stuff you need and don't bring a whole lot of excess. More junk, camping essentials.
Be realistic when you're packing. Are you really going to cook a meal for 15 people when packing your kitchen? Do you really need 8 pots and pans? Probably not. Pare down those types of things and always know that if there's something absolutely major that you forgot, you can always go in a store and buy it.
And if you're camping close to home, you could even run home and get it.
Go back home and pick it up, yeah.
When you're packing your kitchen, try to favor plastic over glass. I think a common mistake is to load up an RV kitchen with a lot of glassware items.
Real plates and that sort of thing.
Not realizing how things get shaken and rattled inside those cabinets.
Remember that when your rig is rolling down the road, they say the inside of a travel trailer experiences like a 4.5 to 5 on the Richter scale, like compared to an earthquake. So just know that everything that you put in those cabinets is going to get shaken and stirred. Plastic is better for that first trip out because you don't want to load up everything with all this nice glass and plateware and then get there and it's broken.
We actually have a video on YouTube setting up an RV kitchen, and in our Amazon store we have an entire category dedicated to RV kitchen essentials. Yeah. So if you're stocking up an RV kitchen for the first time, you can go in there and check out some of those ideas. bring some key tools along, because although you don't think anything's going to go wrong, something usually goes wrong.
Yeah.
And I've always been happy to have certain key tools on hand.
You must carry a toolkit with you at all times, because you never know when you're going to do something really stupid.
And I mean like a homeowner's type of toolkit, wrenches, rubber mallet, duct tape, gaffer's tape. If you don't know what gaffer's tape is, again, check out our Amazon store. We've got some listed in there. It's incredibly useful tape. A good Swiss Army knife, a bone tool, a corkscrew.
Yeah, corkscrew.
That's a must-have tool.
For after the repair.
That's right.
Next tip is to not rush and get in a hurry.
I think one of the biggest mistakes you can ever make in RV camping, and we all still do this sometimes, is to get into a hurry.
It's when mistakes happen. It's when you forget a step. It's when you forget to double check something. It just welcomes disaster. Overestimate as far as the amount of time you'll need to do things. An RV is not a car. So when you are planning a road trip that first time out, just realize that you're not going to drive your tow rig or your motorhome the way you would drive a car. So it's going to take you longer to get somewhere.
Absolutely. And I can always remember those first few hours when we had just gotten their Airstream and I was towing it. And I remember looking in the rearview mirror and being shocked that we were being followed so closely by this silver blob behind us. Your vehicle is going to handle completely different when you're towing. Your stopping distances are going to be much longer when you're towing. So
Turns are
speed
different,
limits.
lane changes are different, merging is different. All those things are completely different.
I mean, it's really more mentally taxing, and you just have to get up to speed to feel comfortable doing it. As far as how it feels, I have this sort of nervous, like butterflies in my stomach. I mean, I have to admit, I'm a little bit on edge. It's just something I'm not accustomed to. You got to take a different approach when you're towing an Airstream. I mean, you've got to really think before you make a lane change.
Not exactly level, but it's the best we could do for our first night.
Next, when you arrive at your campsite, take a moment to level your rig. And we have different levelers that we use. We particularly like the Lynx levelers, which are interlocking blocks. We also have a couple of different curved level systems that some people like to use. It's going to make your first trip so much more enjoyable. I think a newbie mistake is just to park it, and then the next thing you know, you're walking around inside your RV at an angle.
For us, our bed sits sort of sideways in our rig instead of, straight forward and back within the rig. So we always try to make sure if we're off level a little bit, we want our heads of the bed to be up a little bit, because if our heads are down, that makes for a terrible night of sleep. Let me just tell you, because we learned that the hard way. Also, it affects the way that things will cook in your frying pans or that sort of thing, because if you're off level, all the oil will roll to one side of the pan, or if you're in the shower, it can affect the way your shower drains because it might be pooling away from the drain. So things that you don't really think about with leveling can make a big difference.
You'll probably make this mistake at least once, that you will park, you will not level your rig, and then you'll go throughout the camping experience and you will regret it every day that you're walking around inside that RV, because it will affect everything that you do.
All right, when you get to your campsite and you hook up your sewer hose, please leave your black water valve closed. You only want to open that valve when it's time to empty the tank. Don't just leave it open, because bad things can happen.
Water and enzymes in that black tank are your friends.
Yeah, that's what breaks everything down.
And if you drain all the water out of your black tank and leave it with no water, then solid waste can accumulate, and that can lead to a very unpleasant cleanup job. And it can smell bad inside because gases can come up from the sewer into your RV. So you want to seal that off.
And didn't you see that movie when you were a kid where the alligator crawled out of the sewer into the people's toilet, into their house? You don't want that to happen in your RV.
That's right.
Remember that? That
Yeah.
traumatized me as a kid. I was terrified of the alligator coming out of my toilet.
Finally, do a walk-around inspection of your rig every single time that you're about to move it.
Yes,
And this
even
is-
if you're just moving it a few feet.
you need to double check, and we've made this mistake a few times over the years. There could be wheel chocks still in place. You could still be connected to power. I mean, we've heard of people just driving away from the power post with their RV still connected
And
to
literally
power.
ripping it out of the ground.
In all these years of camping with our Airstream, I've never once driven away with the power cord still out and attached to something. Until last night. We're running the generator. Generator sits in the bed of the pickup. So this could have been a lot worse. If we had had our power plug plugged into city power, I guess it would have yanked the cord out of the camper. It would have really messed up our electrical systems. Instead, you see the cable was attached and we were just kind of dragging it along the highway. It was dark at the time, so we didn't really notice until we'd driven about a mile down the road.
This is one of the more boneheaded mistakes.
I will say it was really dark. It was nighttime, so we couldn't really see when we came out.
Again, I was grateful to have my tools and toolkit with me.
Right.
Because things like this sometimes will happen. But as long as you do a walk-around inspection before you take your rig out on the road or move it in any way, then hopefully these things won't happen to you.
You know, when you're new and getting into this, it's sort of helpful for everybody to have like assigned jobs. You know, we each have certain roles that we take on when it's time to break down camp. A list can be very helpful. So make a list for each person of the things that they're supposed to take care of.
Marital division of labor works for us. In other words, Christy has certain jobs that she takes care of.
Yeah,
I
that
have
I
certain
always
things
do.
that I take care of.
Right.
And I think it just speeds it up. Rather than two people doing the same job simultaneously, we kind of go in our separate quarters and take care of business. And it works.
Yeah.
Smooth day, smooth towing, smooth parking. We even got it off the hitch. We didn't break anything.
Nope.
Nobody's fallen yet. It's all good.
So I hope these tips have been helpful to you. If you have any tips that you would like to add to this list, please post a comment beneath this video. We're always interested in hearing what you have to say.
If you have any suggested topics for us, you could drop those down in the comments as well. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Also, if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button. It means the world to us to have you join Loloho Nation. And also, if you will click that little bell icon next to the subscribe button, you will get a notification every time a new Long Long Honeymoon video goes live. So you'll never miss an episode. Until next time, Loloho.
Lo-ho.
If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you disliked it, give it a thumbs down. Feel free to leave a comment. And of course, don't forget to subscribe.
How to... Sorry.
Can you say Loloho, baby girl? No. No.
There we go. Sweet kisses.
If that's not love, I don't know what is.